Alright, live troubleshooting of a rig. Uh, okay, so first of all, these should not be constrained. So the constraint should be under the IK handle itself. So I think what might have gotten done is the handle is controlling the control, which does seem to be the case if I move this. So what I'm going to do is just delete these, and then I'll grab, I always forget the hotkeys for, like, hiding. What am I doing? Good lord. Polygons, Alt-2. I was doing Alt-1. Alright, so I'm going to grab the control, grab the handle, and then I'm going to do a blip, 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 blip. Point constraint with the proper settings. Alright, and then that should, when you then move the controller, move the handle. So I think that was actually pretty much all that looks like needs to get done. The only other thing I would suggest is the controllers are off. There's actually a few things. So the controllers are off center. They should be directly on the joint, so you just snap that on with vertex snapping, and then freeze the transformation on that. Definitely go through and freeze that as well. I'm actually not sure what this controller is. Oh, I see. Okay. That setup's gonna be fine. So there's a few other things I would suggest for this. But I'm just gonna, actually, I'm gonna go through and just, again, make sure these are snapped on there, freeze the transformations, and I guess I'll just do that for all of them really quick. Gotta love doing G to repeat the last command. It is my favorite. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and, again, just point constrain these dudes. I'm gonna ignore the other arm I did first. And now you should have some nice functional little limbs. The way your hips and pelvis and stuff seem set up fine. The only other suggestions that I have, so for one, the waist control obviously doesn't seem to be controlling anything. So what you'd probably want to do is, it's usually, in my opinion, good practice to keep the pivot of the joint, or of the control, like on a joint. So I'm just going to snap that down, holding D and V at the same time. Once again, freeze the transformations, and just do that systematically up the rest of the rig. Theoretically, you shouldn't need to, like, delete your constraints to do that. And then just, again, just sort of keep going, make sure that these are all sort of lined up. It's really the pivot that's important. It doesn't matter where the controller itself is, it's the pivot, again, that's the important thing. So I think that should be good, and then I have this feeling that when I freeze, when I freeze transformations on that, it's going to get a little weird, so you might need to go through and do it controller by controller, starting at the head, moving down, just because sometimes freezing constraints when stuff is parented gets, like, a little janky. So I think that should pretty much handle that. I just got a package at 7:30 at night. Super weird. Alright, so I'm gonna get rid of that point constraint, and I'm just gonna fix this for realsies. So again, just freeze that transformation, grab the control, grab the handle, and do a point constraint. And did I just not constrain this? I did. Cool. Alright, we're gonna constrain the other hand. And I think that should, Alt-2, I think that should do it for the actual rig stuff. It seems like your weight painting is, like, pretty decent for the most part. I might go in and, like, smooth some of that out. And then the other thing I noticed is the IK arms should not be parented under the torso. Because if they are, then when you, like, it's the same thing as, like, when you move the feet, you don't want them sort of traveling around. And this is the, that's delightful. Okay, so this is the root, which means that what I'm going to do is just grab all of these hand controllers and just shift P them, not under the rest. So that way you should be able to, like, move the root control around, and it should be taking the rest of things with it. In this case, it's not, because the root joint is not constrained. Oh wait, none of these are constrained. Okay. That actually is great. Okay. So grab your root control, and this one you do want to be a parent constraint specifically. I'm just going to go through, just make sure maintain offset's turned on because I'm paranoid. And then go through and control all of the, like, pelvises and waists and hips and all of that good stuff. What joint is this? This is the spine. This is this. This is that, I think. Off. And I think once you do that, it seems like you should have everything set up in a way where you're able to move things and like the hands will sort of stay where they should be and all of that. Seems like it should work pretty okay. The only other tweaks are the waist. Okay, so this depends a little bit on how you want to animate stuff. What I personally would do for this is like this upper joint thing is controlling like the spine and the pelvis is controlling the lower body. So what I would do is just move the core under root control instead of under the waist so that you can jiggle the waist if you need to. Although on this particular model, seeing this, it doesn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I guess it sort of does. But anywho, personal preference doesn't super matter. And I think that's, apart from some outliner stuff, that should be pretty much all you need to do for the actual rig itself. So one thing, we just like, again, it's good practice to make sure your stuff scales. Oh lord. So what I'm gonna do is just find the mesh, which is not under your master control, and it shouldn't be, so that's good. I'm gonna grab the other, like, IK controls, dump them under master, see if that scales, seems fine. So I'm just gonna put these in a group, and do IK, and then I'm going to dump that under chewing, or like your chewed gum group, and so now you have everything under one lovely group. You have a master control that will scale, and I think that's actually pretty much it. So hopefully that was helpful.